Hello everyone and welcome. In this video, we're going to take a look at some text manipulation, which is len, left, right, and find. All of these come together pretty well, but it does take a bit to master this. So I'll go fairly slow, but this might be one that you need to, rewatch in order to really grasp what's going on. And as always, there are different methods to do this. This is just especially useful for different situations, like maybe someone has two last names or another space or something like that, where just using substitute or something else doesn't work. There also can be, if you don't have like the last names or something, there's countless ways where this is useful, but using this in those ways will really help. Let's say in this example, we're trying to find emails, and these emails are formatted as the first name, last name at realemail.com. So with the data that we have here, we're not really easily able to pull the last names. You could, of course, split them and then take, the last name and you'd have that, and then, find the first name. Maybe you're just going to, say it's better and faster by hand and just go J, R, S, and so on, but there's functions for it. So let's look at these. Now, the first one is going to be len. Len is just length of a string. It's pretty simple. You look at this and you go to it, it is 14. That means that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And if you bring this down, you can see, I'll just specify length, that it'll change. If you click it, just copy this all the way down. So that's 0 because there's nothing. Control up to get back up. So what this does is it helps show how long this is. And while that's not especially important, it will come into play with being able to pull this like we are. The next one is left. Now, if you start with left and you select the full name, what this does is it allows you to pull the leftmost characters, and you can specify how many. So maybe you just want 1, that would go J. Maybe you want 2, J-O. 5 will get J-O-R-D-A, and so on. So this would be a way to actually pull the first initial of that first name. Hit enter. The next one is right. This will actually start on the right side instead of the left side. You can specify how many characters, 4, 5, 6, so on. And so this is where a combination of these two will actually help be able to get the first initial and then all of the last name. Now, the last part of this, in order to complete this type of formula, is find. What find does is it will find a specific character. So you can search for a space, which will show where the first name and then the last name is. The text search, and it'll display a number. And this number is especially useful for this exact thing, finding the last name from it and pulling it, the first name, so on. To build this email, the first part is left. And it's relatively simple, that one, and you need 1 character. Hit enter, and so now we have the J. Now the next part is we need to find the last name. So how could you do this? Well, a combination of these will actually allow you to do that. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to first find the length, or len, of the text. So that's 14. Then you want to subtract it by the find. Now you want to search for that space and B3 again. So that's going to be 5. That means that there are 5 characters for this last name, Glenn. That's because there's 9 right here where that space is, and you're subtracting it by the 14, the total. So now that you have the find, we're going to go back to the front of this and do right. So right, and the string is B3. So this reads the right portion of B3. And how many characters will be the total length minus all the characters up to the space. So I'm going to hit enter, and now we have that last name. So here we have left. Then we're going to include the last name. Now I'm going to just go ahead and go back to this one and copy this so that we have it on our clipboard. Oops. Escape so we don't ruin it. And you have a couple options. We'll go ahead, since we just learned concatenate, we're going to do the left, comma, this right, comma, at realemail.com. And just for good measure, let's go ahead and lower this. So in lowercase, oops, oh, I forgot to put that there, so it took those, enter, there we go. If I bring this down, you can see all of these are picking it. There's no spaces, and it looks like they are pulling the correct full last name, even though the differences of them. Now again, with the find, you can see here that this is specifying how long their first name is. And so that's how it's taking the length minus that to get to the last name. So know that that's a lot, but ultimately this allows you to make some pretty clean ways to find different text. And this is especially useful too if you have some like odd end, like let's say reports or POs or, you know, asset tags, things like that, where there is a common like structure to it, but just a different length in the left, the right, or in the middle. There's one other that I did not include on this one, but wanted to at least highlight, and that's called mid. So mid gives you a segment of the string. So what this basically does is allows you to, in the string here, you can get something, and basically the first one is saying start at this and then the extract length. Alternatively, you could say mid B3 find space at B3, then the extract length, you could say length of B3. Now it will just work there because what you're saying is start at 9 and then pick as many as you can, so you'll get the full one there. But if you do length of that minus find space B3, then you get 5 characters. Now the one thing with find and mid is that it's actually starting at that exact one. So it's finding this one. So you'd actually want to do the find plus 1, meaning that it would go 1 after. So hit enter, and there we go. So again, in this case, it is a little bit easier because we know that that last name is to the right. The mid more so helps if it's like an address or a longer group of text, where you could actually pull like the state between the numbers at the end and, you know, the third or whatever space it is, something like that. So in this case, it wasn't as helpful. Like this is a little bit more complex and redundant than this one, but there are some cases where mid is more useful. Again, all of these are very helpful to be able to manipulate data in different ways, both in cleaning or extracting specific text from it. So hopefully you find this helpful. Be sure to do those social things like share, subscribe, leave comments if you have some questions on this. I'll do my best to answer. We'll see you in the next one. Bye now.